after that? Do you have some coffee with you or some tea or anything?
I already drank too much coffee this morning, but I have some.
All right. What do you have?
There's water.
Water. That works. That works. Okay, are we live? I think we are live. 20 seconds in. Hello, everybody. It looks like we've got a couple people coming in, so we'll give people a minute to congregate, as they say. Hello and welcome to Lizzie Faye Loves Books for this last terrific Tuesday for March Mystery Madness. And I am here today with Breezy Ann. Now, Breezy Ann, is that your real name or is that a nickname or?
It is a nickname. I actually Breezy Ann, but my grandma always called me Breezy Ann, so.
Okay. Well, Breezy Ann does not do BookTube, or she doesn't have a channel, but maybe we can talk her into it because she has been a big participant this year of March Mystery Madness. Now, was this your first year, or had you participated in previous years?
No, this was my first year. I kind of found BookTube last winter.
Okay.
And, I've been kind of addicted since. So.
Yeah, it's easy to get addicted. I know with a name as unusual as yours, I just started noticing you in my comments, a month or two ago, and then you've been really active on Discord and just participating, and you're always there, and you've been watching my Tuesday morning, these live streams, and so I thought it would just be fun to have you on. Uh-oh, I've got an echo. Let me plug in earbuds. All right. Do you have? I'm hearing an echo. Do you have yours on? That might be the problem.
You know, I just shut my mouth. Well, let me try
There we go. Yeah, that's a lot better. Now, with my earbuds in, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, can
all
you
right.
hear
Good.
me?
Yes, I can. Okay, great. So let's see. Let's see here. All right. Oh, there. You can't. Okay, so Rebecca is in the comments. So Rebecca, click back on. She said you try to get into the stream, but it's only checking your camera. You have to allow your camera, and then you have to type in your name, and then it should you should pop up with that link. So do you remember, Breezy Ann, what you had to do? Have you done a live stream before? Because I can't remember what did you do.
I tried to test it out ahead of time, and I just had to allow it. But This morning, my laptop browser wasn't letting me access my camera, so I'm on my tablet. So.
Okay. Rebecca, if you're watching, just try a couple things. I know you have to click allow and all of that. So if I see you pop up, then you can certainly come on in. She says, try again. If not, you just say, okay. All right. So yeah, Rebecca was going to be my other guest today. Rebecca, the colorful Booknester. She's got a really awesome channel, and I want y'all to be sure and go check her out. So hopefully she'll be in here. But meanwhile, let's just talk to Breezy Ann. Now, I was just clicking. I always like to see whenever I start to see somebody in my comments and they're really good at chatting, I think, oh, I better check and see if they have a channel. And I had asked you on Discord if you had a channel, or maybe it was on one of these chats, and you said no. But I clicked over, and there are some videos on your channel from years back. Tell us about those.
Oh, back in my early 20s, I was a big fan of fan videos. And so I made some of those from TV shows. I really enjoyed video editing. But then I started working more and got really busy. And I just stopped. And I hadn't even looked at it until this month. And that's when I went back over to my channel and I changed my name. And I've been thinking about it more, doing something again.
Yeah. So are you thinking about maybe doing some BookTube videos?
Yeah. And I'm nervous about that. But I thought this has been so fun, the Tuesday morning live stream. And I'm not off work on the weekends, so I miss most the ones that are usually happening. So I thought it'd be fun to maybe do some midweek or something.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, of course, if you just record a video and post it, anybody can watch it anytime. But yeah, that's kind of why I thought I would do these, middle of the day ones, because there's so many on Saturdays. And there are a few people like us who are home on the, during the week, and even maybe people who have opposite schedules. Like I worked in the theme park industry for 30 years, and I didn't always have weekends off, So everybody has different schedules, and I just thought it would be fun to do something, a little off kilter, do something a little different. And sure, the majority of the people probably can't watch it live, but for those of us who can, it's something, that we can do, So I don't know. I just thought it would be fun. All right, so let's see who else is here. Susan Hatcher, hello. Morgan, is it Morgan? Is that how you say it, or Morgan? Morgan and Amber is here. All right, so Rebecca says technology will be my nemesis. Oh, okay. Well, keep trying if you want. I know that other people have said it's pretty simple, where you click on the link and you have to type in your name, and then you test out your camera and mic, and then you're in. So if you want to keep trying, or if you want to just hang out, then that'll be fine. But no problem. So everybody go and check out Rebecca's channel. She does coloring, she does reading. She has a really cool way that she does her TBR with a tic-tac-toe game, and that's really fun. What was the other thing? Oh, gardening. She's just got an amazing garden and everything. I can't ever figure out what to do with my glasses. There we go. Okay. So, all right. So Breezy Ann, you want to tell us okay, first of all, have you finished, or did you even do the prompts for March Mystery Madness? And if so, are you still working on any? Because we're here at the end of the month now.
I'm still working on them. I've gotten most of them finished, but I'm still working on number. I'm reading Agatha Christie's Lord Edgware Dies, because I have the old paperback copy that's 13 at dinner. So
Okay.
that's the one I chose for number. And then I was reading a Dark and Stormy Murder for the weather prompt, but Beach Bum Bookworm and Cozy Reads Mysteries are doing a book club next month for that.
Yeah.
And I was reading it too fast. So I'm slowing down a little. So I haven't quite finished it yet.
Okay, that way you can save it for that. Well, it still counts. I think if you start a book, it still counts for the prompt, even if you don't finish it during the month.
I'm hoping to finish it by the end of the month, but I needed to not just breeze through it super fast like I was.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I had read that before. In fact, I was up to the last book in that series, and I used it for color, because the most recent one is Death with a Dark Red Rose. And so I use that for red, for color prompt. And that's been a really good series. The only problem, because I'm really old fashioned, and the only thing that just kind of like, I don't know, it just kind of needles me a little bit, is that her main character, has a romance with the neighbor. And when it first starts out, they just meet. So is Dark and Stormy Murder the first one? I'm trying to think. So I don't want to spoil anything. But there's just references to her romantic relationship that I don't need to know. I'm like, okay, let's just get back to the mystery. We don't need to know all that. So that's just not, and it doesn't bother me to have a romance in a mystery, but there's just certain details I don't need to know. So anyway, that's just me. But it's not graphic or anything. That's just my preference. But other than that, it's been a really good series. It's what we're talking about, guys, if you're watching, is the Writer's Apprentice series, and it's by Julia Buckley. So the first one is Dark and Stormy Murder, and I think there's 5 now, and a novella, which the novella is a Christmas themed. In fact, I was gonna purchase that, but I don't think I ever did yet. I'm gonna try to read that at Christmas, because I'm doing this Get Serious About Series challenge. That's just something I kind of came up with, and I picked 21 series to finish or catch up with for this year, and that's one of them. So I was thinking that I would be caught up when I finished Death with the Dark Red Rose, and then I saw there's a Christmas novella, so I thought, okay, I got to read that one at Christmas time, and then I'll be done. So as far as me with the prompts, the one I picked for weather, I haven't not started yet. It's The Woman Who Walked in Sunshine by Alexander McCall Smith. And the reason I haven't started it is because I wasn't up to it yet, but I just finished yesterday the book right before it, so I could start it. But meanwhile, I did listen to an Agatha Christie, Death in the Clouds, because Matt Wall, one of the hosts, was doing that as a read along, sort of. He ended up reading it all in one day. He goes, "I suck at read alongs," but a few people read that with him, and so I did listen to that. And so I think Death in the Clouds, that could count as weather for clouds. So I've technically already done that, and I started one the other day that I have not made much progress in. That's short. For my mystery book club later in the year. It's a Dave. Have you ever read any Dave Robichaux? That's the name of the series. James Lee Burke is the author, and the one we're supposed to read for book club later in the year is called Tin Roof Blowdown. It's about Hurricane Katrina, so I could count that for weather too. So I have all these. It's like that was the one prompt I thought was going to give me a hard time, and now I have all these things that I could count for it. And the one I was originally going to read for number, I did not, but I did read another one. Oh, and then time, the one that I had two for time, an Al Roker mystery called Morning Show Murders, and then Mad Season by Nancy Means Right, because season is like a time of year. And both of those I can't get on audio. So I didn't have anything for time. And then I realized I have this Tony Hillerman, Coyote Waits. And I thought, well, waiting that has to do with time, because if you're going to wait, you're using time. So I'm going to count that. And I listened to, look at this, y'all out there. You know what this is? There's one over there in my old boombox right now. This is an abridged copy, but ta-da! I'm not embarrassed to listen to tapes. And I mean, I had it with me. This is not on audio on Hoopla. A bunch of the series is on Hoopla, but this one's not. But I happen to have this. I was waiting to get to it, so I was waiting to get to it. So I'm listening to that right now, and so that'll count for time. And then I have all the prompts done except bonus. The bonus one I picked, I mean, I have read several that I like the titles, but I can't say that I picked them solely because of the title. The one I picked for that was an Edith Maxwell book called A Time to Live and a Time to Die. It's like a local foods mystery. So I love that title. But again, I can't get it on audio, and I'm down to the wire now. So in fact, I just bought an ebook today so that I could listen to it. So I could listen to it talk to text, because that's all the time I have left. And I don't know if you can see it. Actually, let me show it. In fact, I want to give a little plug, a little shout out to this author. The book is A Caterer's Guide to Love and Murder. It is by Jessica Thompson, and it's her debut novel. It's a cozy mystery. And I have hang on a second. I have the cover saved on a photo, if I can just get to it. I screenshotted it so that I would have it, and then I forgot to pull it up. All right.
I think I follow her on Instagram.
Yeah, I do.
That's really cute.
Yeah. So I started it. Let's see. Oh, that's too bright. Hang on. Let me turn it down. I started it on my computer, but I just don't have time to sit and read on my computer. So I thought, well, I'll just go ahead and buy it on my Kindle, because she sent me an ARC a few months ago. And then about just before March, she emailed me. She's like, oh, have you had a chance to read the book yet? And I was like, let me read it for March Mystery Madness. And so now here it is, the end of the month. So the only way I'm going to finish it in time is to listen to it, the text to talk. And so that's what I'm going to do today. So other than that, I want to give a shout out to Middle Grade March. I'm finally getting some middle grade books read. I'm going to finish this one today. The Luck Uglies book 2, Fork Tongue Charmers. This trilogy is the middle grade trilogy that I am trying to finish this month. One of my reading goals this year is to finish a middle grade trilogy each month. I have 12 picked out that I had read the first one and I had not read the other two. So that's my middle grade March / reading goal for this year. And these all have silhouettes on the cover. Well, this one has a silhouette on the cover. They also have strong family ties. And I think the middle grade March prompts strong family ties, silhouette, decade you were born. So I'm also reading Chronicles of Prydain. I won't finish this month, but this also has to do with travel. So I've started it. Like I said, I think it counts if you start it. And so those are my middle grade March books. And if we do a reading prompt, what time is it now? If we do a reading sprint, I may read. Oh, I hear an echo. Doing okay?
Yeah, my mic keeps messing up on me, so I think that's better. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes. Oh, so Amber said it is
I
a
didn't
cassette.
do any of middle grade March.
What? Say that again.
Oh, I didn't participate in middle grade March, but it's a fun challenge.
Yeah, yeah, and that's fine. It's hard to do. It's hard to do everything. I did read a couple of books that counted for the Irish readathon, but they were stuff I was going to read anyway. I had this one for my read along, which I didn't like. I finished it. This was a book club book for next month, so I had to read it anyway. It was 75% character development, all unlikable characters. And then finally, the last 25%, she tied it all together. And it was real twisty, but the characters were just so unlikable that it was just hard to enjoy the book. It was interesting how she tied it all together. It reminded me a little bit of a mystery we read. Well, it wasn't really a mystery, but I think we read it for Mystery Book Club, called Anatomy of a Scandal. Who was the author of that? Sarah Vaughn, maybe. I read that a couple years ago, and it was again kind of a character study of these college boys who have kind of grown up and they've just lived this entitled life, and they just run over anybody they can run over because they can. And that's just kind of what it reminded me of. That was kind of what some of the characters were in that book. All right, let me catch up with comments. So Amber, there's Rebecca. Oh, yay! I'm so glad you commented because I wouldn't have even noticed. Yay, you made it! Awesome. So hello, Breezy Ann. Have you seen
Rebecca? Hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes. So tell us what you're up to today.
Trying to figure out the StreamYard, obviously. You know what it was? Because I'm on my phone, I didn't scroll up, and there was more stuff it was asking me. I'm just sitting there going, oh, okay. So,
yes. I think
sorry
that's
about
happened
that.
to me before. No, that's fine. I'm glad you made it. I keep going off camera. Let me scoot over a little bit. Now, when there's 3, then it's like a 3 across, and so we don't have.
I've got my halo on because our skylight has sun shining down.
Well, that's all right. You can be angelic today.
That's the only way.
All right. So Amber, she says she didn't think the guest list was too bad. Yeah, no, Amber, it wasn't. What I'm always harping about language, so there was a lot of foul language, but I definitely see why people enjoy it. It was very twisty, and it was very interesting how everything tied together. So the book definitely has its merits. Obviously, it does. I mean, it was for Reese's book club, and it was book of the month. So a lot of people have it. A lot of people have enjoyed it. It's not particularly my kind of book. It all took place on an island, so you kind of knew that everything that was going on had to have something to do with somebody on the island. Did you read this? Have either of y'all read this?
No, I haven't read it yet.
I
So
did read it last winter.
okay, well, tell us what are your thoughts on it? And if you loved it, you can totally love it. I will not be mad at you. Just because I didn't like it doesn't mean, you know, I'm all
liked the
about giving you.
style. I liked the multiple viewpoints and the not
Okay.
revealing the victim until the end. I really liked
Okay.
that.
Okay.
But again, it's like you said, the characters are unlikable. So, but I enjoyed it, and the narration was good. It was fun accent and setting.
Yeah, the narrators did a great job because they were different enough that you could distinguish between. Did you listen to it on audio, or are you talking about just
Yeah.
the narrative?
The audio.
Yeah, it was good. So what I was hoping for, because I had heard it compared to, and then there were none, but there was definitely more than 10 characters because it was a wedding, so there was a lot more than that. But I didn't even really count if there were more than 10 who were actually mentioned. Maybe there was that parallel, but you know, it was in the end how everything tied together. There were a lot of surprises, I thought. So in that, she did good in like hiding what was what until it was revealed. Then it was like, oh, okay. Wow, I didn't see that coming, you know. So so that was good. But I am very character driven. So I have to really like the characters to like the book. So that's just, you know, that's just me. But I'm glad you liked it, Amber. Amber, do you have any other thoughts about it? What did you have a favorite character, Amber? Amber is in the comments. A couple of people commented about my cassettes. I don't know, Rebecca, you were trying to get on. I don't know if you saw my book for time. I have it on cassette. So
Yeah, I jokingly typed in there, I hope you have your pencil ready so that when it gets loose, you can wind it back up.
Oh, that was you. Yes, I do have a pencil, except I'm having a hard time with pencils lately because Katie's dog has decided he likes to chew pencils.
Oh.
And every time I leave one laying around, we find it in pieces over on the chair where he sits.
Maybe he's not a fan of cassette tapes.
Well, I don't know. I hope he doesn't start doing my cassettes. All right. So, Rebecca, are you reading anything for March Mystery Madness, or have you read any mysteries this month?
I did actually. It's funny. I ended up reading 2 that ended up being mysteries. I tried to do a bunch of short stories, and this is my second go at short stories, little mysteries. And what I have found out, for me, short stories don't work, and they mainly don't work because they don't develop. Your characters don't develop. You just get to know who all the players are, and poof, it's over.
Yeah.
So it's really frustrating because I really wanted to enjoy this book, but I did short stories, the Mistletoe Murders at Christmas time. And it was like, I just couldn't, there wasn't enough information. So
okay.
I thought that was interesting, something to learn.
That you held up, is that the one that Berna has been reading, and Janelle, I think? I don't know if you follow either of them. They were doing a buddy read for March Mystery Madness of short stories, and I think it's that one.
Oh, interesting, because it is a British Library Crime Classics. Let's get it in shot. There we go. But the thing is, sorry, I'm moving it all about. I can't figure out. The thing is, the opening one is by Arthur Conan Doyle, and it was awful. It made me so mad. Basically, the way you find out how this mystery is done is because the person who did it decides to write a letter 3 years later to a newspaper and explain it. So it's not figured out. But he doesn't sign his name. He's anonymous. You know, he's hiding wherever. Okay. But it's like, wow. And I hate when it's lazy like that. Like, yeah, I know it's a short story, but don't make me read it and then go, oh, here's the answer. I mean, it reminds me of not getting Encyclopedia Brown, and you have to cheat and go to the back to read the
To read
out. So that one was, but the second one started being a promising one. It just didn't hold my attention because I didn't want to invest my time if it was just going to fly by. And that, I think that's kind of a little thing for me to learn because I've never really read short stories before. And I thought of all things, mysteries would be the perfect ones because I love mysteries. And so no, but I did read one, Secrets of Eden. This is fantastic, guys. If you haven't read it.
I haven't.
They did make it into, a Lifetime movie, so don't go out and Google that, because if you Google it, I don't know how they could have done this in a movie. It's 4 perspectives. So you basically start off, there's already murder right from the beginning. Now, just to let everybody know, there is domestic abuse in here. And it's talked about both in the character's past and then also the main character. That's how we meet up with her. She's actually been killed, and it appears by her husband, who then appears to have done suicide. So just know that. Okay. But the way the author writes about domestic abuse and writes about the characters and kind of those commonalities, I thought was really well done. And it's from 4 people's perspective, which are the only 4 people you hear from. So you're like, ooh, somebody did it or is going to figure it out. Yeah. The first one you meet is a pastor who is questioning his devotion anymore, like his belief, his faith is questioned, and you get all of his perspective. But then it stops and you move to somebody else. And I read this with a buddy read with Reads and Eats, Fiona. Oh my gosh, we kept changing. Well, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Well, this is interesting. This is that. And it's 4 parts.
Kind of mystery.
Yeah. And you know what's amazing? I mean, it's 300 and something pages. And what got me was, it wasn't until the last 6 pages do you completely firmly find out. It's beautifully done. Because I was still double guessing myself that late. I mean, I was close. And then I kind of go, no, maybe it's this. And then, it was just, I don't know. I thought it was fantastic. It was my first 5-star of the year. So.
I'm going to add that to my list. Yeah. I have one of his books called Midwives that I haven't read, that my mother-in-law gave me. And I haven't ever gotten around to that one even.
Well, it's interesting because I'd never heard of him. And this book, The Irony Is, it takes place in Vermont, in the area I live.
Okay.
It's between Manchester and Bennington, and I am right between those two. So it talks about my local bookstore. It talks about a local diner. And I don't know how I got this book. I don't know if somebody gave it to me. I don't know how it showed up on my bookshelf.
It was serendipity.
Yeah, and he's a Vermont author, but this one, it was just amazing because of things he was referencing. I could not get over it. I was like, holy cow. So I have no idea how this showed up. I wasn't going to read it. Fiona saw it on my Goodreads list and said, that sounds interesting. And they have a little angel aspect to it. And I was like, oh, where's this going to go? But I highly, highly recommend. I think it's a great book.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, thanks for telling us about it. Have you heard of it, Breezy Ann? Have you read it?
No, but I have heard of the author.
Oh,
yeah. So.
Yeah. He actually, I didn't realize how prolific he is. He has a new one coming out right now. Oh, and another thing's really nice. Fiona mentioned him in her Instagram post about us reading it, and he replied to her. So very nice guy from that, which was really nice. But he has a new one about, I think it's about kind of around the Salem witch trials, possibly, because it's something Witches Hour or something. And, but this was really well done. I was really surprised by how well it was. But there is multiple times that they're discussing and talking about the domestic abuse. So if that's tough, but I just felt like it was very respectfully. And if anybody has experienced some of it, I have a little in my background. I totally got where he was going with it, and the personality traits and the things that his characters were saying in and around it. So kind of interesting.
I'm adding it to my list right now. All right. Here's the author. What was the title again?
Secrets of Eden.
Secrets of Eden. Well, that's not. My phone is ringing, but I'm not going to answer it. All right. Secrets. If I don't do it now, I'll forget.
The one I read by him was The Flight Attendant, which was kind of on the grittier side, and the main character wasn't very likable, but it was well written. It was a good
Yeah,
movie.
and they're making that into, it looks like Netflix or HBO. Somebody's doing something with it, a movie or a series or something.
All
I'm
right.
sorry.
Found it.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, so this is the 5th week I have done this on Tuesday for March Mystery Madness. Somebody asked me if I was going to do it all year. I said, no, it's just for March Mystery Madness. I don't think I could keep up this pace of doing this every Tuesday. But the first 3 weeks we did a reading sprint. And then last week we didn't. I had my brother on and we were just having audio difficulties. And so I was like, let's just chat for a minute and then we'll just go ahead and end early. But this week I'm up in the air. I could definitely read. I always tell my family the last couple of days of the month are time crunch. I'm like, y'all leave me alone. I got to read because I got to finish my books by the end of the month. And so sometimes my daughter, my youngest, it'll be like the last day of the month. And she'll say, Mom, do you want to go so-and-so? I'm like, what day is it? And she's like, oh, it's the last day of the month. So anyway, that being said, I will be happy to read, but I'm also happy to just chat. Sometimes I get on here with you guys and with different people and I'm thinking, oh, I just want to talk because I never get to talk real time. So you guys weigh in. Would you like to do a reading sprint? Those of you watching, would y'all like to do a reading sprint? Or would you like to just chat? Would y'all like to hear more from these ladies?
I have a stack of books that I could discuss easily because I wasn't sure what we were doing.
Yeah, well, and I never know either. That's the fun of live streams. You can just do what you want to do. We're easygoing. Do you still have anything you're trying to finish by the end of the month? Either of you?
I have one, but it's not a mystery.
That doesn't matter.
And once again, set in Vermont. This is because of the way I do my tic-tac-toe. This is the one that would let me get tic-tac-toe, and it's called The Farm in the Green Mountains. And it's about it's during World War II. It's 2 immigrants from Austria that ended up landing themselves in Vermont, and they have a farm. My husband read it 2 years ago. Has been bugging me to read it. It's supposed to be a lot of little anecdotes. It's based on letters she wrote back to people back in Europe, and then they compiled it together. But it's really interesting because there's a lot of kind of Vermont personality in this, even back in I think this is like 1938. But what's funny is they're complete novices. He was a playwright. She was an actress, and then she was going to go study medicine. She was going to go become a doctor. So, always lived in town. And now they're out in these middle of the sticks in the boonies. So interesting observations, but I'm hoping to squeeze this one in before, what do I have? Oh, I have 2 days.
We have today and tomorrow. What about you, Breezy Ann? Are you trying to finish anything by the end of the month?
Yeah, the main one is I've been reading it all month, and it was my BookTube bin.
Oh, yeah.
And I still haven't finished it. So it's for 2 challenges, and I didn't even finish it yet. And that was The Scapegoat by Daphne du Maurier. And I'm enjoying it, but I feel like I have to give it all my attention to, because it's a classic and you can't just listen to it on audio and miss half of it. So I still haven't finished it, but I really want to. So.
That's funny that you said that because I just listened to Rebecca on audio this month and I feel like I did miss half of it. So I will go back and probably try to read that one in print at some point. But I wanted to kind of squeeze it in for this year for March Mystery Madness. It's a book club pick, and we're not reading it for book club until later in the year. So maybe between now and then I'll go back and read some of it. I don't know. We shall see. So Rebecca, have you read Rebecca?
Actually, that was my first Daphne du Maurier. I read it in high school. Had never even heard about it. Nothing. Mom always referenced Rebecca at Sunnybrook Farm with my name.
Oh, yeah.
And I loved it. I have to say, I think it's the book that really pushed me off into mysteries and kind of those unexplained mysteries to some degree, like how much is mystery, how much of it isn't. I mean, I thought it was, but I read a really unusual one from her called Rule Britannia. And it was written back in 1976, and it's about the United States coming in and taking charge of Britain. Because they went into, like, I was reading it when they were doing Brexit and first talking about leaving the European Union, and it's because of the European Union falls apart and Britain is very vulnerable, and then they leave, and then America comes in and it looks like we're going to help, but actually they're trying to make it's so funny. They want to make it the United States, United Kingdom, which is you suck. Which I don't know if that was intentional, but I thought it was.
So is it kind of an alternative history type of thing?
Yes, and it's funny because they kind of start going up in arms because when they realize it's almost like Americans, but the Americans were invited to some degree, but what they've told the people is very different. But it's a bunch of quirky characters. You have this sense of, something's happening. So it's got a mystery feel to it, but this whole premise, I think it was just ringing so close because of the whole leaving the EU. And I thought it was very interesting, how you have these people who are really dead set against it, but yet it had already happened in all the major cities. Now what they are doing was pressing out into the rural areas, and it's down in Cornwall. So, but I thought her writing was really, really great. So it's interesting to see The Scapegoat because I have not read anything else by her, and I kind of really want to because I like her writing, even though it's nothing like Rebecca.
Yeah.
But the writing was really good, and the characters, and you get involved in the story, and so it's a very obscure one. I just picked it up. I think it was at a B&B we were at. I was like, oh, and I picked it up, and it was great.
That's awesome. Yeah, that sounds really interesting. What, Breezy Ann, what was the title of the one you're reading by Rebecca? By Rebecca, by Daphne du Maurier. The Scapegoat. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll have to add both of those. What was the title of the one you were talking about?
It's called Rule Britannia.
Rule Britannia.
I don't know how easy it is to find, and I don't know if I even have I think I have a copy, but it's not handy. But it was a really old paperback. It was sitting in that B&B for years and years, and I switched it up into Moray. And then when I just started reading one or two pages, next thing I know, I'm like, this one's coming home.
Yeah,
I left one. I did leave one though.
Well, that's good. That's good. And I think they don't mind that. It's like kind of like a little free library kind of thing. Leave one, take one. So let's see. Catch up with the comments. Nobody in the comments are saying that they want to do a reading sprint. At least I don't see. Marilyn says that she has read 7 prompts. Good job for March Mystery Madness. 4 books are new authors and first books of their series. Oh, and you only like one of them. Well, at least you gleaned one out of that, if you tried 4 series and you found one new one that you like, that's not horrible. And good job for getting 7 of the prompts done. So Marilyn,
good job on continuing to do it.
Yeah. Are you going for one more? Which prompt did you not get? Are you still working on that prompt, or is this it? Are you good? Well, let's give Marilyn time to chime in. So, Amber, thank you so much. She says, y'all look so pretty. Thank you. I tell you.
I like my halo. It's covering all my gray. Be back here before long.
Oh, Marilyn says she's working on space. Yeah, that's kind of a hard one. But, some people, it kind of threw them for a loop because they thought they had to read something in outer space. I said, no, it could be a living space. It could be any kind of space. It doesn't have to be outer space. That's just one type of space. So for me, for that prompt, I read Eggs in Purgatory because I said, I don't believe in purgatory, but apparently people believe it's that space between this life and the afterlife. So that's what I'm reading. So,
I love the creativity that we get when we're trying to fill these prompts.
Yeah. And that's just the fun of it. Some people get really, they get distressed if they can't get all the prompts. I said, don't even worry about it. It's not, It's not important. It's just supposed to be fun. And if they stress you out, it's not fun. So don't do them. Yeah. So
My hardest thing was when I used to participate in a lot of them and wasn't doing my tic-tac-toe, which focused just on the books I already owned. I would catch myself wanting to go and I would be buying stuff to fit. And I was like, no. I got to read what I have. So.
yeah, read what you have. And you can usually find something, I'm sure. If you have any books at all, you could find some way to make it work. So I have a question for each of you, and they're different questions. So Rebecca, you mentioned your tic-tac-toe. For anybody who might not watch your channel, tell us how you do your tic-tac-toe, because I think it's a really great way to plan your TBR.
Well, because I had a lot of books that I wanted to read that were on my shelves and I wasn't focusing on them. So what I do is I have it all in Goodreads. Every book on my shelves is listed in Goodreads under a my physical bookshelf type shelf. And then because it numbers them, because you can have them number 1 to, in this case, I think I'm down to 54 now. So 1 to 54, but then I do a random generator that just generates numbers between 1 and 54 for me. And I fill out a tic-tac-toe board with the first 9 that come up. And then I go find them and pull them out. So like I'm otherwise I stand and I stare at my bookcase and, you know, go no, and I keep avoiding books. But what I do is I kind of note my reaction when that number comes up. So if it's a book like when The Mysterious Benedict Society came up, I was like, woohoo, I've been wanting to read that. And I knew it. Whereas other books come up, I'm like, oh. And so my reading tastes and intentions have changed over the years after purchasing. So it kind of tells me just maybe this book, either give it the first 100 pages, but I'm more apt to DNF because if I pick it up and start reading it and it doesn't work, I'm like, it's done. And I take it off my shelf and I DNF it and I donate it. I'm just like, and it's been helping me get through stuff. Otherwise, I just avoid the books and they just sit over there. And so, my big goal is to start getting to the library and be able to start, you know, I don't want to fill my bookshelves back up, but I want to start being able to use my library because I have 2 really good libraries and I have a really great local bookstore that I'd like to also support. So it's been working. I went from 88 books down to my 54 in 1 year of doing it.
Oh, that's awesome. So now finish that on out though. So you've got your tic-tac-toe with your random numbers. So then how do you decide what you're going to read? Do you try to read all 9 or do you try to pick 3? What's your process?
I'm a very slow reader and I'm very slow. So I am always just trying for a tic-tac-toe, which is a minimum of 3. If I DNF one, then I've kind of screwed that tic-tac-toe up. So I have to go someplace else. Okay. You always start with the middle book. So like this past month, and the way to be flexible for me is this past month I did the buddy read with my friend Fiona, and that one was my center square because I knew I have to read this. You know, this has to get done. So I always put whatever I'm really in that center square if I need to. So like in April, I have a book my son has given me. Oh my gosh, I don't even know what I'm in for on that one. But it's his birthday month. So I'm like, okay, for April, I'm going to read this book. And so that's in my center square. And then the other 8 I drew off the Goodreads. So yeah, you know, you're doing diagonally. And yeah, there's a lot of times I know what my real excitement's about. It's like, okay, center. And then I go from there to figure out what's going to be the easiest. Because I always want to make at least 3 books, a tic-tac-toe. And it isn't based on if I actually end up liking the books, it's about finishing or making a decision. Are they DNF or are they going to go later? So that's kind of where I kind of go with that. Oh, I think
we lost Breezy Ann, and I was just going to ask her a question. Well, hopefully she will come back. So your middle square is not a random number, or is it sometimes? It can be.
Yeah. So like I said, when Fiona asked me if I wanted to do the buddy read, I was like, okay, I need to focus on that. I know that's one of the books I need to read. Because again, it is hard for me to get 3 books completely done. I just, you know.
Do you only read physical books or do you read some audio? How do you?
I listen to audiobooks while I color. So those are not on my TBR at this point. I do try, you know, so I'm always listening to an audiobook when I color, when I'm gardening, when I'm outside physically doing stuff. Kindles is kind of where I think once this year's over, because I think I can really get my bookshelf down. Now I need to start focusing on my Kindle. So I might do something, because I have the same thing set up in Goodreads with all my Kindles that I own, all my Kindle or ebooks.
Mm-hmm.
So I might do my tic-tac-toe next year, focusing on Kindle. So that's what I'm hoping anyway. But most otherwise, it's all physical, because I'm just, like I said, I'm trying to get through my bookshelves. That's just one thing I don't do, and I don't know if I've ever had this happen. I don't put all the books in a series on my bookshelf, because I don't want book number 6, if I'm only on book number 2, to pop up. So,
right.
So out of those 54 books, I might have 6 series, which with additional books. But as soon as that one goes, as soon as I read that second one, I put the third book up in there. So I'm rotating through the series as well.
Okay.
But yeah,
that works.
there's,
That's awesome.
I have a video that shows exactly how I do it. But I have found, for me, highly motivating and very telling. Like I said, if I pick up a book and there's a negative feeling about it, whether it's, one thing I notice, I'm kind of avoiding big, thick books. So maybe next year, that's my center square every time, is at least one big, thick book.
I try to
I bought them, I need to read them.
Yeah, I try to do at least one big book per year, like epic. But I didn't really do one last year. But this year, I think I'm going to try to attempt. What's the Ken Follett book? They're all of his are big.
The Pillars of the Earth.
Yes, yeah.
Everybody loves that one. I feel like I should give that another chance, because I read it and just, you talk about unlikable characters, and
oh, really?
Well, there's always these sneaky, mean people. I mean, they're horrible. It's middle ages, and
yeah,
it can get kind of in your face. I don't know. And
is it barbaric?
I'm not gonna say barbaric, but it's
Sometimes I find that a good description of anything way back then.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I kind of dirty stuff, but I didn't just fall in love with it like everybody else. And I hate when I miss stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
And that should be a book I would have loved, because I'm a huge historical fiction fan, massive.
Yeah.
But maybe it was just too much, because it's a building of a cathedral, and I mean, it's interesting from those backgrounds. But I'm surprised so many people have read it, because it is really long, and so many people actually. I've never heard anybody say they didn't like it. So I just wasn't. I'm not. I would never pick up another one. Yeah. And I don't know.
Well, I mean, everybody has different views on different things. So, you're certainly entitled to your opinion. All right. So, Breezy Ann, I was going to ask you, now you mentioned that you kind of just discovered BookTube last year. So, I'm always curious to know how people find BookTube, and maybe who were some of the first people you started watching. What, like, how did you find it, and what made you stick with it, and how did you get hooked?
Well, my mother and I were kind of caught up in this planner craze that was going around, and still is, I think. And so we started watching the videos on YouTube of these ladies who had all these amazing planners, and they would scrapbook in them and do all these fun things. And the only thing I ever consistently used a planner for was tracking my reading. I never am good at scheduling things, but my reading, I like to have it written down. And so I started looking up book journaling, book journals, reading trackers, and that just led me to people who were just talking about books and their TBRs and what they've been reading. And then after that, I couldn't stop. So you were one of the earliest ones I found, Elizabeth. And awesome. And I love your channel, Rebecca. Great videos.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome. So who would you recommend as far as reading book journals? Do you have any favorites that you want to recommend that we watch?
There were so many. Yeah, no, probably not any specific ones. I could probably find some, but just off the top of my head, there's too many I wouldn't want to miss That's a good
Oh.
one.
And that's always the danger in even just doing booktube shout outs, because there's so many people that you want to shout out. Even like for me doing this, there's so many people that I wanted to invite to come on, and there was just so many weeks and so much time and everything. So there's always a danger of leaving somebody out, and you think, oh, I don't want to, tag 3 people and then leave out 15 that I would, that I wanted to tag. But I think, everybody understands that there's a lot of people, and not to feel slighted if you don't get mentioned. But anyway, that being said, I want to just say thank you to everyone who did come on with me in March on my Terrific Tuesdays and on all the live shows we did. I feel like this has just been the month of live shows. And 2 years ago, we did a live show kickoff for March Mystery Madness, and I had to get my daughter in here to help me do it. And then I didn't even try last year because I was just not confident about doing it. Well, of course, we all know what happened last year in the middle of March. Everything went crazy, shut down. And then it became necessary to utilize video live streaming for meetings and all that. And I think now we've kind of started realizing that it's kind of cool. And I think now, even if things ever do get back completely to normal, we're still going to want to do a certain amount of meetings and things on live stream, because it's easier really, than to have to get dressed and go somewhere in person. But anyway, I'm going off on a million tangents, but thank you to everybody who came on this month. And I'm not trying to sign off. I just don't want to forget. Say thank you to everyone. My brother and sister both got to come on, and then we've introduced some new booktubers, and Ali Lischansky. If you haven't subscribed to her, she was on with me the first week. And then we also had Cheryl Gilmore and Amber, who's in our comments right now. And then a couple of March Mystery Madness hosts were on last week, Laura from On to Triplets 04 and Tim from World of Sleuths, along with my brother. And you guys this week. So this has just been really fun to come on. We didn't end up doing a reading sprint, but that's okay. I always have lots that I could talk about, and I like chatting with you guys too. What else? What do y'all want to talk about? I don't absolutely have to leave right this second, although I'm on my daughter's computer and I promised her it wouldn't be longer than an hour. So we've got about 6 minutes left or my hour will be up.
Hey, Elizabeth, I was wondering, have you ever read Fiona Buckley, To Shield a Queen?
I have not. I've got another mystery by someone named Fiona, but it's not her. It's Fiona Mountain. No, tell me about it.
The reason why is because this is almost a quasi cozy read, and it is like a lady in waiting who turns into a mystery sleuth to solve in Elizabethan court.
Oh, fun.
So she's the lady in waiting to Queen Elizabeth I, and it's all around her historical, like the very first one, it starts hitting off about their, is she and her Robin, are they really just friends? Is she really, and there's all the intrigue in the court, but they're fairly short. And if you can find them on audiobook by either Wanda McCranen or something like that, the woman who narrates it, I fell in love with her voice. I now get all her audiobooks. If she's the narrator, I'm like, gotta get it. But it's a whole series. It's an older series. I don't think there's any more being added to it. I'm not sure. But
I just found it on Goodreads. Is this it?
Yeah, that's it. That's the first. I think that To Shield the Queen should be the first one in this series. Yeah. Very fun, very easy. But it's Elizabethans, and then it's Queen Elizabeth and all the intrigue in her court. So if anybody likes that kind of thing, I wanted to bring that on because I thought, that's probably one of my favorite cozy-ish mysteries. Because there's also the historical notes too, all with it, which is fun. So easy. But if you can get it on audio, the woman's, I love her. She goes by 2 different names, and she's one of my favorite of all time to listen to.
Okay. Yeah, I added it to my list, so I will. I'll look it up. I'll read more about it and see if I can get it on Hoopla or library or anything like that. So, Oh, one thing I did want to mention. Well, before I talk, Rebecca, I want to hear what you have coming up on your channel in the next week or two. And Breezy Ann, have you given any more thought to maybe starting your own channel? As we've been talking, I know you kind of started hinting around about it at the beginning. And
well, basically for me, I'll be doing the whole TBR, going through what the tic-tac-toe gods have picked for me, and also do a brief little wrap up for the books for here in March. But as you mentioned earlier, there's going to be a lot of my gardening stuff. I'm working on my winter, because we have had the weirdest, craziest weather up here, and so gardening season starting, so you're going to start seeing more of that. And coloring, usually I do at least one a month of just a coloring. And I don't like calling them tutorial, it's just how I do things, because people always ask when they see the picture, how did you do this or that? So if I think about it, I video it. So those are all the things that go on. It's all the crazy things I'm involved in. So
I love your tic-tac-toe process, so I will definitely look forward to that.
Okay.
So Breezy Ann, when can we see a video from you?
Well, if I figure out the technical difficulties, I might do one.
Awesome.
But, yeah, I'd like to.
From your phone, it's pretty easy. If you don't, if you just do something that doesn't require any editing, you just click share and click YouTube, and it will upload, and you can decide if you want it to first be private so that you can make sure it's all good and, fix your thumbnail, or you can just let YouTube pick your thumbnail and it could just go public. So it's pretty straightforward. It's when you start talking about if you're going to edit and all that it gets trickier. But anymore, I've gotten to where I don't even edit. If I start out a video, if I start filming and I don't like how it's going, I'll just turn it off and start over so that I don't have to edit.
I'm always amazed at how much you can get in a video, because I waffle. And it's like it's awful. It's like, thank God only read 3 books, because these would be 4-hour-long videos otherwise. But you're very good and very succinct with it. I joined YouTube solely because I was in so many comments, and I wanted people to learn what my personality was, so that if I wrote something in a comment that could be taken multiple ways, maybe they would know personality-wise how I meant it. Because I do have a little bit of sarcasm, and sometimes I worry about it. Well, I need to put myself out there a little bit for all of the creators to kind of, if they were interested, to know, like, why is this woman stalking me now? There's 15,000.
Yeah, I should have asked you, who are your early BookTube influences? Like, how did you discover BookTube, and who did you start watching?
The way I discovered it, I was looking for some recommendations for a particular book. And I had just started, and it's funny because my gateway to YouTube was also calendars and planning. I had never watched YouTube before. Somebody told me, oh, go watch this, and then down the rabbit hole I went. But for me, the books was some book, and I wish I could remember what it was, that I wanted to know more about it, and I just typed it in, and then all of a sudden all this BookTube stuff. But my problem was they were all YA, which I'm not that I'm against YA. I just read some really good stuff, but YA romance sci-fi is not my thing. Mm-hmm. They were very young, and my hardest thing has been trying to find people who are of an older age, so that that not only they are reading other books than what's just right now on the new shelves. I want it, and they give more depth, perspective. So I actually fell, and she's young though, but it was a Book Olive.
Oh yeah.
In a Book Olive, she was so professional, so succinct. And what I really loved is she did a TV, so she would do a wrap up every month, and I binge watched her TBR for the next month, and then the wrap up, and she was so good with that. So if I had a book that she mentioned in video number 1, I knew there would be a review of it in video 2, and I just kept going down. And then from her, I kind of, I would look at comments and then go check to see if those people who were leaving comments, because I wanted that interaction. Mm-hmm. That's my favorite part. So if I saw people putting down comments, I then would go check to see if they had a channel. So that's kind of how I started finding people.
Yeah.
But I would say she was my first, and then Kate Howe is another one that I found, and just, again, her reading, she likes mystery, she likes historical, she likes traditional, what do they call it?
Or children's classics and things like that. I love.
And classics. That's the word. I'm like, traditional. That's not the word. Classic. So yeah. So I mean, and you kind of keep branching up. I wish there was a way to easily put in like mature booktuber, so I can find more.
I'll email you some, because I kind of have a mental list of there are popping up more and more, because I started my channel when I was 50, and I've been on 6 years now. And at the time, I only could maybe find like 5 other people who I thought were 50 or over. And now there are several popping up. In fact, one I'll just give a shout out to is Marilyn. She's from Hawaii, and she did her first video on her 70th birthday, and she's a hoot. Yeah. And she reads a lot of mystery. She's been participating in March Mystery Madness, and so definitely you should check her out. She does some singing on her videos and everything. She's awesome. So yeah, there are several out there, and of the group of the older people, they read a large variety of books. So I remember hearing a comment from someone who was younger, but they were saying that I guess given advice about starting a booktube channel, and they said, don't feel like you have to read what everybody else is reading. Read what you like, and you'll find your audience. People will find you. And I think that's very true. So Breezy Ann, what is your favorite genre? Is mystery, is that what you typically read? Or do you have other genres that you really like?
I read a little bit of everything. But like last year when I went through my end of year Goodreads list, it's mostly mystery. That seems to be what I gravitate towards the most. Yeah.
Well, I was telling somebody not too long ago that I kind of feel like a fraud in a way, because mysteries are not necessarily what I read the most of or what I love the most, but I do love cozy mysteries, and I got started with those, several years ago, and I have a huge collection. But I started, how it even came about, March Mystery Madness, and how I even found BookTube was because I was doing book sales at the library, and I was going online to try to advertise our book sale online with Book Sale Finder, and I noticed they had a Facebook page, and on their Facebook page, they had a video from the Gwendolyn Reading Method, and she was doing a video about library book sales and how they were awesome. And I thought, oh, what is this girl doing talking about library book sales? That's kind of interesting. And through a process of events, or through a process of just searching around, I realized she had other videos talking about books, and she was my first booktuber. And so then when I eventually found BookTube, and started my channel, I watched for about 6 months before I started a channel, and I'm not a quiet person, so I couldn't just sit back and just watch I had to get in there, but from doing library book sales, one of the things we always had an excess of was mysteries. And so somehow the idea came to me, March Mystery Madness would be a good idea, a way to promote book sales, because we had all these mysteries. And so then once I got into BookTube, I saw people doing readathons, and I thought, well, March Mystery Madness would make a good readathon. I don't think there's any mystery readathons. So I searched, and that's how I found Troy. He had used that term just for his TBR a couple years prior to that. And I contacted him, and I was like, hey, I've got this idea for a readathon, and you've used this term before. Do you care if I use it? Do you want to do this with me or whatever? He's like, yeah, sure, why not? So that's how it all kind of came about. And now it's just really grown. And I'm so excited about it, because I feel like, and I'm going to segue into something else now, because I feel like now I've always said that I didn't want it to be my readathon. I wanted it to be a booktube readathon, a booktube event, and I want people to just take the idea and just run with it. And I love when things kind of take on a life of their own. So that being said, I feel like that's finally kind of happening this year with Amish in April. So I want to be sure I give a plug for Amish in April, because just I noticed on our March Mystery Madness Discord group that someone, not me, someone else has started a thread of Amish in April, or Amish in April mysteries. So Amish themed mysteries on the Mystery Madness Discord. And I didn't have anything to do with that. So I'm like, this is really cool. It's sort of taken on a life of its own. Because when we first started the whole Amish in April thing, that was just kind of a lark. I was just trying to come up with an alliteration of something for April because I love alliterations. And one of my subscribers, Terry Burgess, said, "Oh, how about Amish in April?" And I was like, "Oh, how about Amish in April? Let's do that." And so Sarah was like, "Yeah, let's do." So now this is our 4th year for it, and I'm still surprised every year. I find more and more Amish themed books, especially mysteries. I was just searching last night, and there are just so many that I had no idea about. In fact, I'm going to film my April TBR today, so that should be up tomorrow. And I'm going to show a few that I found in the library that I didn't even really know about. Well, actually, the ones I knew about, but I haven't really talked about them. So anyway. That'll be coming up. That's my next video. Well, actually, my next video I should have done yesterday, and I forgot to do like a week 4 wrap up for March Mystery Madness. I know we only have a couple of days left in the month, but I'm going to go ahead and do that and not put off till the end of the month, which I don't usually do my monthly wrap ups until the month is over. But on Friday, my daughter and I are getting on a plane to fly to Texas for a family reunion for the weekend, just for a quick Easter weekend. And I'm not going to have time to do much in the way of wrap ups. So
just do it on the plane. Nobody will mind.
Yeah, except that once I get there,
nobody will mind. Just sit there, hold your camera, and talk about books. Nobody will mind.
I just realized I've gone over my hour. Katie just came in here. She's like, "Hello."
Tell Katie thank you.
Yes, we need to go. All right. So thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Oh, hold on. She wants to get my attention. Wait just one second. She's like, don't sign off yet. But I got to mute. Hang on.
We've been muted. What did we say? Me.
Okay. No, she said no. If we wanted to keep going, it was fine. But we should probably go. I need to film some videos, and I don't want to keep you guys. I promised you an hour.
I have a book to read.
And we've got same here. It is.
I gotta go read.
Yes. And we didn't do a reading sprint, so we'll let you go, and you can read on your own without people watching you.
Thank you again, Lizzie, for doing this. This was a lot of work, and it was so fun.
Are you talking about just March Mystery Madness?
And doing all the terrific things. All the terrific things you do.
Oh, thank you for being so supportive. Thanks to both of you. Thanks to everybody out there watching. Hang on, before we go, let's see if we missed some comments. So Amber said that she reads historical fiction and historical fiction mysteries primarily, but Detroit. Yes. So I have not read a lot of historical mysteries. There are some good ones out there, and I need to delve into that a little bit more. Oh, there's Donna. Donna, I'm sorry I didn't even notice you had gotten here. She says hello to everyone. Let me go back up a little bit. Lee Goldberg, Lost Hills are spacious. Hills are spacious. Oh, so she's saying that would be a good one for space. Okay, there you go. That's an idea for space. Amber, it's slow. It's okay, Amber. It's all right. Just enjoy what you read and don't worry about going fast. So she says you're the mom. Are you the mom of?
She's my mom.
Is your mom? Oh, awesome. Okay. Well, hello, mom.
I tried to read the comments, and I accidentally got myself out of the stream, so I gave up.
Aw. So let's see. Betty Lou says maybe you could each do a video of your favorite mature booktubers. Oh, that's a good idea, and do some shout outs. Yeah. I am one on that note, as far as maturity. One thing it's been requested to do a video about my favorite books and book series that have older protagonists, like senior citizen protagonists, and I have several, and they're some of my favorite. Some of my favorite books. So yes, Amber, you are a few years younger. 34. Awesome.
Nephew.
Really. So yeah, that you're an old soul, right? That's what it is. All right.
Either that or we're really immature. One of the two,
Oh my goodness. So thank you. All right. So I have a hard time signing off, but I will sign off now. Thanks to both of you. Thanks to everyone who participated. It's not out of the realm of possibility that I would do this for special occasions. Maybe we'll do one during Amish in April, because that's only for 10 days. So if anybody's interested in, anybody out there watching who wants to maybe read some Amish books and come on with me on Tuesday during Amish in April, that would be great. And maybe one this summer for whatever reason. I don't know. We'll just see how it goes. We're talking about maybe doing a smaller, scaled down version of a Mystery Madness readathon in the summer, like a mid-year Mystery Madness readathon. So that is a possibility. A few of us who read cozy mysteries, we're talking about doing some kind of a cozy mystery readathon. Of course, Courtney, who's one of our hosts, she does Cosmas and Christmas, and also something around her birthday, Coz Week, she calls it. So there are some cozy mystery readathons going on, but we shall see. We'll see how the year pans out. So thank you, ladies, so much. Any final words?
Keep turning those pages.
And I will say what I always say, everyone, read a good book and God bless you. Thanks for stopping by.
Bye, y'all.